All right, y'all, we're going to take a look at this boudoir photography business today. Going to take a look at its high intent Google searches that boudoir buyers are searching, see if it has BSS, and see if we're meeting the GBC recommended minimum of hitting 3 out of 10 page 1 Google slots. So we're back here in the GBC universe, where we're taking declining boudoir photographers, turn them into the #1 boudoir photographer in their city. As always, our North Star is FSIC, full spectrum intent capture. More on that, pin post, home post on the video, whatever. And that's because FSIC explains why all boudoir photographers either rise or fall. So if a boudoir photography business is rising, they're probably most likely bringing in peeps from the entire intent spectrum, way over on the left, highest intent, way over on the right, lowest intent. But if a boudoir photography business is falling, they're missing at least one or one cohort, or at least probably two cohorts as well from this intent spectrum. Now, way over on the left, we got BSS boudoir search sameness, which we'll be talking about in a little bit. But way on the left, that's what we're talking about here. These videos, talking about the highest intent peeps, people searching for boudoir photo shoots right now in our, right in our city, searching on social media, searching on Google. And way over on the left, the lowest intent people, that's our sister brand, Boudoir FB Ad Doctor. We're talking about BLCS, kind of a unique niched problem. And we actually, with that brand, we currently only work with boudoir photographers running more than 10 grand per month in boudoir Facebook ads. So now onward. So BSS is boudoir search sameness. That's when a boudoir photographer has either 0 or 1 slots on page 1 of Google. So 0 slots on page 1 of Google, that means we're on page, page 2 or deeper. That's, gonna be a fast death for our business, because we know approximately 80% of Google searches never even make it to page 2. They're page 1 only searches. And so if we're stuck on page 0, that's a fast track to death. And if we got 1 slot on page 1, that's not good enough either, because then we're looking the same as all the other boudoir photographers. Probably going to be none other boudoir photographers. So buyers are just going to click and open up everybody's link, get a quote from everyone, price shop everyone. Whereas 80% of those buyers, the bulk that we care about, would never even go to page 2. So even on page 1, we're still getting super, super, super price shopped. Now, 0 or 1 slots on page 1 in Google is not normal. It's an extremely small number. It's normal is actually the symptom of 2 deeper root causes. Those 2 deeper root causes are market saturation and the false belief of page 1 equality. So 0 or 1 slot on page 1 of Google, extremely, extremely, extremely common though. People are accepting of it being common because people do not know about the false belief of page 1 equality. Now, the market saturation, basically everyone knows about that. Someone's getting a new iPhone, they're throwing up on Google My Business profile on Google Maps. They got their website app, trying to rank page 1 for boudoir photographer. And so more supply. Same with someone's getting a new camera, and then they're talking, they're posting in the mom Facebook groups saying that, saying they offer boudoir shoots now as well. Again, another increase in supply. And COVID was a big, massive supply shock of boudoir photographers because a lot of people lost their jobs. People still need to earn money though. Everyone's got a phone with basically everyone's got a phone with a superpowered camera. So offering boudoir photo shoots even for new peeps was, kind of an easy in. And as a result, super increased the supply of boudoir photographers. And if there's the same number of buyers remained, then then it's going to be harder and harder for sellers to make the same amount of money. Now, false belief of page 1 equality, this, from what I've seen, is the #1 killer of boudoir photography businesses. What this is boudoir photographers saying, all right, I got 1 slot on page 1 here on my website, and some other boudoir photographers came in, entered the marketplace, got their website ranked higher than mine. So, pushing me down to page 2, but that's simply how it is. Hopefully one of them deletes their websites and maybe Google will put me back on page 1. Because right now I'm invisible on page 2. Approximately 80% of searchers never even get to me. And, just kind of letting those things happen. That's a false belief. Google actually will give us as many slots on page 1 as we want, as we put in the effort to acquire. And Google wants to give us those slots. I know that because I went from 0 out of 10 slots on page 1 of Google to 9 out of 10 slots on page 1 of Google with, well, in only 10 days with this new methodology I developed. Now, final piece here on the left side, a boudoir photographer with boudoir search sameness is a disappearing boudoir photographer, DBP. So left side of our universe, disappearing boudoir photographer. Well, that's because, if we got BSS, we're either 0 or 1 slot on page 1. So basically, we're either on page 2 of Google, which means we're definitely disappearing. Approximately 80% of searches never even get to page 2. And if we're on page 1, then we only got 1 slot. We're looking the same as everyone else. We're being price shopped to death, and we're actually, disappearing as well. And so, a disappearing boudoir photographer did having BSS. This is the canary in the coal mine, kind of the warning flag, the warning light, check engine light going on, saying, "Hey, we are on a path now to actually lose for the boudoir photography business itself to disappear." But luckily, we now have a solution. So that solution, we know that BSS is treated with social search saturation, aka S-cubed methodology. And when we treat, so we invented this, so that's how I know it works. It's exactly what the name is, social search saturation. We're saturating social search. And for the highest intent keywords. And basically, it's kind of like the backside of the Andes Mountains. When we saturate social search, there's like the small streams, the small rivers on the backside of the Andes Mountains in South America. They actually flow into the Amazon River. And with the Amazon River, what actually happens is they all converge to the Amazon River. That's like conversion on page 1 of Google. Now, this is the only solution I've seen for boudoir photographers that actually allows them to overcome market saturation extremely quickly. The only one other option would be, actually having a well-known brand. That takes, 5 to 10 years. We ain't got 5 to 10 years. AI's here, coming to take people's jobs, and we got to max rank as fast as possible, as there's a whole bunch of boudoir photographers going to be entering the market. So, S-cube methodology, yeah, it is the only thing I've seen for boudoir photographers that successfully enables them to fight back and overcome market saturation. I mean, imagine if there's a million boudoir photographers in San Francisco, and we're one of them. Everyone's got a website competing to be page 1 on Google. And what actually happens is we max out our S-cubed methodology, literally basically do it as max as possible. And as a result, we're getting like the first 300 slots on social search, first 300 slots on Google search. And when we do that, whenever any buyer searches for Google or, on Google or social search, high intent keywords for boudoir photo shoot in their city, we're basically the only one they find for the first 300 slots. And, we essentially pushed all the competition down to slots 301 or later. So on Google, it's 10 organic slots per page. And 10 organic slots per page is, that's 30 pages we're taking up. Buyers essentially got to go to page 31 to even find out that we are, to find out our competitors. So obviously, whose business is growing in this scenario? Ours, because we saturated basically kind of everywhere they can look. So again, this S-cubed methodology is the only solution I've seen that allows boudoir photographers to successfully escape markets or successfully grow in spite of market saturation, kind of no matter how many boudoir photographers are out there. That happens relatively quickly. Brand, dude, takes like 5 to 10 years. So we ain't got no time to build brand right now. Now, once you're with S-cubed methodology, we have page 1 visibility. And kind of an initial bonus benefit we get from this is every new slot we take on page 1 of Google, we're actually kicking a competing boudoir photographer off page 1, effectively making them invisible. So when we do that, when we make them invisible, we know that literally 80% of boudoir photographers or searchers do literally never go to page 2. So if we kick them onto page 2, off page 1 and on page 2 deeper, they're effectively invisible to approximately 80% of the market. So that's an extra immediate benefit. Now, page one visibility activates Boudoir search visibility for us. So when we get that, we have the GBC recommended minimum of getting 3 out of 10 slots on Google search page one. Because the 3 out of 10 slots, a lot of boudoir photographers, most of them will be at 1 out of 10. So when the buyer's scrolling down Google and they're seeing us with a massive number of boudoir photo shoots, or basically kind of with our option, then what actually happens is we're going to be seen as like super awesome solution. People are going to be wondering, why Google is recommending us 3 different times and everyone else only once. So that's why we want to hit the GBC recommended minimum is 3. And as we actually increase, some boudoir photographers rarely will actually have two slots on page one. So we actually want to hit those. And, when we hit those, we want to, or when they hit those, our 3 out of 10 slots will actually still overpower them. So it's essentially taking care of all scenarios. And a boudoir photographer with BSV is a visible boudoir photographer, VBP. So it's our micro universe here. Got a disappearing boudoir photographer with boudoir search sameness is caused by market saturation and the false belief of page one equality. We finally have a solution, thankfully. S-cubed methodology. We achieve page one visibility. We become a visible boudoir photographer with boudoir search visibility. So it's our micro universe here. Now here are my results from using S-cubed methodology when I wanted to rank for the keyword BLCS boudoir. So basically I wanted to rank for this keyword. So I already know, use S-cubed methodology. So we got me, organic slot Instagram here, organic slot page 1, organic slot page 2, organic slot page 3, slot 4. I mean, not page 1, page 2. Slot 1, slot 2, slot 3, slot 4. Then we got slot 5, slot 6, slot 7, slot 8, and slot 10. So we literally got slot 10, or we got 9 out of 10 slots, and we achieved this with only 10 days utilizing our S-cubed methodology. So these are my results I've gotten for it. Now into the main event here. Going to see this boudoir photography business, see how the search is looking for their local and city search. Actually, they're both in this case. So if we got BSS, yes or no. So if we're in the GBC recommended minimum, 3 out of 10 slots paid on Google, or let's hit it, Bellingham, Washington. All right, so let's see what we got. Let's see. All right, so we do got one. Boom, we got one. All right, we got one. So we got 1 out of 10. And city's always the hardest one to rank for. So we got 1 out of 10, that's good. But we got BSS, we got boudoir search sameness. We also got, we're not hitting the GBC recommended amount of 3 out of 10 page 1 slots on Google. So if you're a disappearing boudoir photographer, meaning you've actually done your local searches, done your city searches for the highest intent boudoir buyer keywords in your city, and you're seeing you had either 0 or 1 slots on page 1 Google search for any of those searches, or you're not hitting the GBC recommended minimum 3 out of 10 slots for any of those searches, and you've accepted the fact that the false belief of page 1 equality is exactly that, a false belief, and you actually see an S-cubed methodology is the only way forward, and you've actually been waiting for something like this. You're loving the initial benefits, more slots page 1 on Google. You're especially loving kicking competitors off page 1 on Google, reducing them, page 2 or deeper, where we already know approximately 80% of Google searches never even reach page 2. So make them visible to essentially approximately 80% of the marketplace. And you're looking ahead and you're saying, man, AI is taking a lot of people's jobs right now. It's going to take even more and more people's jobs in the future. The last time that happened, COVID, a ton of boudoir photographers entered the marketplace because everyone's got a super powered smartphone, got an awesome camera, and everyone still needs to earn money. So guess what? You already are anticipating a massive more market saturation already more than, kind of standard people upgrading their gear. So way more on top of that. And you realize, man, you actually got to fortify your position on page one Google search. You need to have actually so many links that Google could rank page one in Google search that it runs out of slots. And then you start filling up page 2, 3, 4. Basically fortify your position so much that no current boudoir photographer can ever rank on page one again, nor could any future boudoir photographer that comes in because AI took their job ever has the chance to rank again. And so you're saying, man, how to get all those links kind of circulating? And you're saying again, S cubed methodology is the only methodology that enables that. You're also like in that, kind of the way this technology works is we're building up these invisible thematic keyword columns around our brand, basically plug into our brand for the different keywords we're um, utilizing and ranking for, that every day we successfully execute SQ methodology, we're actually increasing the probability to be shown up here way at the top, AI overview. The most premium placement is an organic placement. We can now buy this, we can now pay for this with ads. So increasing the probability of being here every day, the most premium placement on the page. There's some people that will just come here, click and buy from this person. We're also increasing the probability every single day that AI, search apps recommend us as well. ChatGPT, Claude, Perplexity, Google Gemini, Microsoft Copilot. Every day we successfully execute SQ methodology, we're increasing probably these guys recommend us for their, well, basically in their search. And last time I searched for boudoir photographer in a city, I actually, ChatGPT, I did with ChatGPT, it recommended me 3 peeps. And then went and looked manually, Google search, manual Facebook search. And dude, there's like 60 boudoir photographers in a city. So I'm like, man, we got to find a way to get one of these 3, AI recommended slots in the AI search apps ASAP. And you're saying ASCII methodology is the only solution that can give you that benefit as well. And you're seeing that the kind of showing up on all these surfaces over time, social search, Google search, and these invisible thematic keywords attached to us. We're actually building our brand at an estimated 8x rate, kind of fast tracking us getting a large, well-known brand in our city, so that market saturation affects us way less. You also understand my current plan is to only work with one boudoir photographer per city, so you can actually get all these benefits, build all this AI mindshare momentum in the back end keywords, these invisible thematic keyword columns attached to your brand, kind of your social handles, your name, your website name, and prevent your competitors from participating, getting any of these benefits at all. So build up basically like a massive gap that approximately no competitor currently or in the future will ever be able to overcome. So you decide to be a first mover advantage and hop on this first because you understand the converse, which is one of your boudoir photographer competitors in your city signing on with me first. They get all these benefits, more slots page one on Google, kicking people like you off page one of Google off to page 2, 3, 4, or even deeper, fortifying their position. So basically none of their competitors, including you, basically ever have a chance to rank page one on Google. Build up such a massive backend AI keyword mindshare so that the no competitors, including you, they have ever a chance to catch up with them, being recommended for AI overview and recommended in AI search, and building up their brand so much faster, approximately 8x faster than any other strategy. And you're realizing to compete in that scenario, you would actually have to rederive SQ methodology for yourself on your own. You would never actually be 100% confident you successfully derived it. And then you'd have to go and successfully equal our daily execution of that methodology. And if you did all that, you would simply be maintaining the current gap me and your competitor have already achieved ahead of you. So to make inroads, kind of make some distance on that gap, close that gap, you'd actually have to double or triple our output every single day. And then if you did that, you actually wouldn't even be confident to put in that much time because again, you would never be 100% confident you've derived the methodology correctly in the first place. And then even if you did, who's got 80 hours to do all that? So you realize on all that, and you're like, screw that. You decide to be the first mover, sign on first, get this out of the way, make sure you don't miss out on this opportunity. So if that's you, shoot me a DM. The hospital is currently closed for new patients, but when the hospital does open for new patients, shoot us a DM, and we will see if you qualify for utilizing our S cubed methodology.